In ancient Mesopotamia, nearly 4,000 years ago, the city of Uruk thrived. Its bustling streets echoed with life, but beyond the market stalls and temples, another trade quietly flourished, one that has existed since the dawn of civilization. Scholars have found inscriptions on clay tablets that speak of women called nadītu, priestesses who would engage in what we now call the world's oldest profession, prostitution. But how did this industry become so deeply embedded in human history, and why does it persist across centuries and cultures? Prostitution is as old as civilization itself, existing in nearly every culture in every corner of the world. It's a complex, controversial, and often misunderstood part of human history. Today we explore its origins, its evolution, and the role it continues to play in society. Prostitution didn't begin in brothels, but in temples. In ancient Mesopotamia, as in other early societies, sexuality was intertwined with spirituality. The practice of temple prostitution, where women engaged in sexual acts as part of religious rites, was seen as sacred. These women, often referred to as sacred prostitutes, were believed to be intermediaries between the divine and the earthly. This wasn't an act of exploitation, it was part of the social and spiritual fabric. Even in ancient Greece, historians such as Herodotus wrote of the hierodules, women who served in the temples of Aphrodite, the goddess of love. Their role was more than just physical, it was symbolic, representing fertility and divine favor. For centuries, prostitution remained interwoven with religious practices, but as societies evolved, so did the role of prostitution. By the time the Roman Empire rose to power, prostitution had shifted from sacred to secular. Roman society, known for its decadence, had a more transactional view of sex. Brothels, called lupenaria, lined the streets of major cities. These establishments were so common that they even had their own section in Pompeii. Prostitutes, known as meretrices, were often slaves or lower-class women. But despite their low status, they were a vital part of the Roman economy. Laws regulated their behavior, and even taxation was imposed on brothels, highlighting how institutionalized the practice had become. In Roman culture, prostitution wasn't just tolerated, it was taxed and controlled. It became a business, moving away from its sacred origins to become one of the world's earliest commercial industries. As Christianity spread across Europe, prostitution took on a darker, more marginalized role. What was once sacred became seen as sinful, but despite this shift in religious views, the trade persisted. In medieval Europe, prostitutes were often confined to specific areas known as red light districts. These women were simultaneously scorned and sought after, creating a paradox where society publicly condemned prostitution but privately sustained it. Interestingly, during this time, some cities even regulated prostitution to prevent the spread of diseases, or to control the behavior of men. In cities like Paris and London, brothels were sometimes run by the state or by the church, a strange blend of morality and necessity. In the modern era, prostitution has been caught between two opposing forces, legalization and criminalization. Some countries, like the Netherlands, have embraced regulated prostitution, aiming to provide safety and rights to sex workers. Others, like the United States, have criminalized it, leading to a complicated underground trade. In the US, prostitution is illegal in most states, yet it persists in many forms. From street-based sex work to high-end escorts, the industry has adapted to the changing landscape of laws and societal expectations. In Nevada, legal brothels exist under strict regulations, showing the contrast between different approaches to this age-old profession. The debate over prostitution today is one of human rights versus morality. Advocates for legalization argue that it provides protections and dignity for sex workers, while opponents see it as a moral and social ill that should be eradicated. Prostitution continues to endure because it addresses fundamental human needs, both economic and emotional. For some, it's a matter of survival, for others, a choice. But no matter how laws and attitudes shift, the trade remains resilient. Whether sacred or scorned, prostitution has been a constant companion of human history. It has adapted to changing societies, laws, and beliefs, but its core, human need, remains unchanged.